On this episode of the show, I have with me Tina Kung. She is founder and CTO at Nue.ai, and we're going to be talking about building a flexible pricing engine. We'll talk about obviously what that is. It's targeting the B2B space. We'll learn a little bit more about why it is an important piece of the process, and we're going to talk about how something that could be niche, could be very broadly applicable. It could have a huge market actually, and talk a little bit about AI and how initial visions for this product that Tina's brought to market and her team actually supported this. So a couple of other things in there if we have time with Tina. But Tina, thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right, before we start, could you tell us what the company does?
So new, NUE is actually the last three letters of revenue, new in revenue. It's really, really easy to remember. So new essentially is an enterprise grade quote revenue platform that provides transactional intelligence to help companies to run sales, revenue, and financial operations with far less friction. So what we do is we provide a single platform that unify billing, usage, and revenue operations and data into a single system of record. Then apply intelligence on top of so teams can actually see what's happening, understand why, and then take the next best action. Right? We're not just like telling what best actions to take. We actually create transactions for them so that they can actually create a system of record. So new essentially just removes a huge amount of manual efforts from quote to revenue. Believe or not, in the AI era, a lot of companies are still doing a lot of manual work in spreadsheets and all that. So it's new has been there for quite 5 years, but right now we're just really growing very fast and because we see a lot of really traction in the market.
Absolutely. All right, fantastic. I guess we're going to be talking about building a flexible pricing engine. We're going to be talking about the B2B space, and I'm sure a lot of people have maybe from the outside looked in, and maybe they haven't been involved in the sales cycle with enterprise sales. But I mean, B2B deals just take a whole lot longer. And I guess one thing you said in there that really I found interesting was, meanwhile, pricing models could be changing depending on when you are speaking to somebody and when a deal closes.
Yeah, that's right. So a lot of people don't really they haven't really been doing B2B sales. So I can give an example, right? So everybody shops on Amazon. So essentially when you pick your products and you put that in a cart, and then that product can be a one-time purchase, can actually be a subscription. You can actually subscribe things on Amazon, and then when you check out, it just takes 1 minute, less than a minute, so that you can get your invoice, when your products will be shipped, you see your discounts, and then you do the payments, and it's super simple. But B2B sales not only takes a long time, but also it just takes, sales, finance, revenue recognition to really work together. And then this 1 minute process on Amazon takes, you know, weeks, if not months, right? So essentially, if a customer wants to create a quote, what is a quote in B2B? It's just what is a quote in B2C? It's a cart. It's a shopping cart. You just put your products in a shopping cart. It takes like, of course, a product selection process and all that. In B2B market, is the same. However, why does it take weeks just to create that quote? And then when you check out a quote, which essentially enter order and create subscriptions, create entitlements, physical assets and all that, it should be as easy as just one button click. And then you go into the account receivable process, right? It shouldn't take months, right? It should just take like minutes, right? So the reason I found it new was that my vision is to make B2B sales as easy as what you can do on Amazon. And yeah, because I've been doing quote revenue in many different companies for years. So I have some insights into how to make this easy as a few clicks to make quote revenue happen.
Absolutely. I guess one thing that's interesting is when you're thinking about the process and you're thinking about obviously wanting to streamline it. I mean, this is a pretty big part of the process for most enterprise, especially within the software industries. If you're looking to solve that process and you're asking to change the process for a lot of different companies as well. I mean, where do you see the low hanging fruit, or where are the opportunities to streamline that? And obviously, knowing you're going to have some impact on how people have done work in the past.
Yeah, the reason why kind of quote revenue process is so broken is that there are many different tools in the space. They're very much fragmented, right? They're not really integrated together, right? But the thing is, we're also not an integration company because there are certain things you can actually integrate, smoothly. But there are certain things when it comes to fundamental difference in object model, right? It is not that easy, or it takes a lot of friction just to integrate them together. And then even though you integrate like two or three multiple systems together based on, very different object model, when you start changing your prices, change your processes, change your revenue models, you have to do that again. Right. So in the AI era where everything changes so fast, the pace of change is the pace of change is really, really, really challenging to actually just say, hey, I have this, fragmented system record that I just bolted them together using different integration options. But now I want to move on to a different pricing model, a different revenue model. I can create a quote, but I don't know how to, do accounting, how to recognize the revenue. Then you have to go into a new integration process and ask your new engineering team to make sure everything is again integrated, right? So this is what you can do. Essentially, the moment you change your pricing model, you'll be able to quote and you'll be able to build, you'll be able to recognize the revenue.
When we're looking at obviously, AI is promising to shift some of these traditional ways software companies have generated revenue. We've heard about outcome-based pricing. Obviously, licenses and per seats have been, consumption model has been for a long part the way licenses have been sold. When you mentioned, obviously, AI can help you take advantage of recognizing revenue quicker. When you think about the potential shifts in how AI companies are going to themselves start potentially licensing and potentially looking at different streams of revenue, does that pose an issue? Is that just an evolution, or how I guess you guys are building that engine? How does that impact you guys?
Yeah, this is this is a great question. So this is exactly what we've been focusing on. Okay, so we have a lot of customers. Either they are AI native customers, some of the biggest AI companies, or they are very successful SaaS companies. Having AI as the second act, right? So what they found out is that, yeah, you can definitely start doing product like growth, for example, PLG, having consumers start using your product and then have, subscriptions, for example, $20 per month per user subscriptions. But later on, you serve, the AI would have outcome-based pricing or, offer API tokens, right? All these are consumption-based, revenue model, right? And later on, they realize, hey, now I need to go to the mid market or enterprise market where there are professional services, there are FDEs, right, for development engineering, FDE teams. And then, they need to also purchase professional services. And now we're coming to not just software, there's also hardware, there's robots and all that, right? So now, like all these companies start to evolve from a subscription license based revenue model to adding on, consumption based revenue model to add on professional services and even physical goods. Traditionally, you have to deploy four different billing engines, right? One for PLG subscription, one for, consumptions, one for professional services, and then the fourth one is for physical goods. And you also need to have like CPQs that manage all of these. And then that's a lot of system you have to manage. And moreover, right, without a single unified system, the revenue is not very predictable. For example, if it's consumption based, it's pay as you go. Every month is very different revenue, right? So how are you going to predict your revenue so that you be able to invest more in your go-to-market motion or your engineering or infrastructure? So we started to see like a lot of revolution in the pricing model side where, for example, most of the AI companies started to adopt commit-based burn down model. What happens is, customers would commit upfront let's say, 500K annual contract, but they don't have to prepay this 500K, right? So they don't have to write a big check, just say, hey, I want to use 500K dollar amount per year. But these 500K can actually be used for subscriptions, for consumptions, for your professional services, or even for the leasing of the physical goods, right? So, but then it's a really it benefits both customers and also AI companies. However, who manages that? Who manages all these different sources of drawdowns? Who manages the commit? Because you still have to bill underspend, you still have to bill overspend and all that. So this is where Nue comes in to say, hey, Nue is a centralized and also unified quote revenue, system that help you, manage all these different revenue models. And also we not only just like, help you do one single selling motion like direct sales, but also, if you sell on self-service channels or on partner channels, we'll also be able to unify that as well. So we definitely started seeing, a very significant trend of, pricing model innovations, and this is where Nue comes in, and then this is our strength.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure not many people, obviously you referenced the example of, a shopping cart we're all used to on the e-commerce side. The complexity obviously stems into financial and accounting controls and a whole slew of things that you kind of touched on. I guess when you're looking at, when you first, I mean, obviously as a founder, when you first started the company, I mean, you obviously saw this gap. I mean, your background comes from this space. I guess when you had your initial vision, did you always have in mind that this flexibility would be crucial? Is that something that from the day one started, or is it something that has kind of grown into the product?
So this is a great question. I actually saw that from day one, right? So AI just happened to make this even more significant. This problem more significant. So before we started Nue, we actually talked to 70 plus companies in the Silicon Valley trying to understand what the pain is. We talked to Snowflake, that was even before Snowflake went IPO. We talked to NVIDIA, that was before NVIDIA was the star in the AI era. Right? We talked to smaller companies with $20 million in AR or giants, right? Like Splunk, NVIDIA, Snowflake, bots, right? So essentially we saw the pain is unanimous, right? So essentially everybody was talking about, you know what, Tina, we want to really try a credit burn down model, but the current systems we deploy do not support that model. So what I can do is to be able to have 20 to 30 engineers on the billing team to be able to do this, right? So we have to spin up Salesforce integration, and then implement, for example, Zora as a billing system. And we need to have our own PLG billing system and have to make sure everything like really work together. And it takes a long time. Guess what? It takes 6 months just to create this system, but then things start to change again. I want to change, quickly, evolve our pricing model quickly. But what I can do is that every change, I can only change pricing model once per year. Can you imagine that happens in the AI era? That everybody is chasing the next best product. You have to be able to change. But if you can only change pricing model once a year, you're apparently falling behind. Right, so we saw this being the pain from smaller companies to big companies, and then we're like, this is one of the largest opportunities I saw, and then we have to do this.
I love that. And I mean, it's interesting because your background comes from a particular domain. Obviously, you started a business in that domain. I've actually been noticing a bigger trend, especially with AI startups, that the founder comes from the domain that they started a company in. And I guess it's a way of basically observing that finding the business problem and actually identifying that business problem is even more crucial, because with AI, that subject matter expertise is becoming irreplaceable. I mean, you can't. I think you could be a far more effective AI tool, company, product with that. And obviously, we do see products that it doesn't always have it to be the case. You still people that work in the space that they don't have, and they look to solve problems, and it works just fine. That's the traditional way. But I have noticed that in AI, there's definitely been a growth and an emergence of people with domain business expertise launching products.
Yeah, this is actually really insightful from your side because over the years, especially in the last a couple of years, observing the AI evolution, is that you probably heard about vertical AI, right? So I truly believe, the greatest AI application companies will be more vertical, meaning because what AI needs, right, is a context, right? So you need to be able to provide AI a lot of contextual information, right? So that they will be able to do things according to the knowledge, expertise they gain from the context. I can give you kind of more technical example, right? So in our space, there are two different objects, right? There's quotes, right? Essentially in B2C is like your shopping cart. There are also orders. Orders are like, just a later stage of quote. When you close a sales opportunity, quotes become orders. But quotes and orders, one is cards, one is order, they're technically they have exactly same object model, exactly same. There's a header, there's product lines, exactly object model. But if you're just like not training AI about what they do, right? AI would see them pretty much the same because they are technically the same in object model. But quotes and orders are very different. Even when you're summarizing the quote, you need to be able to understand, oh, I want to understand the risks, the compliance problems, whether the discount is too deep. Am I selling the right product, right? What about the terms and conditions, the legal terms and all that? But when you analyze an order, you probably want to see, hey, what is the coupon I got? What is the, if I look at the order, what will be the, revenue recognition, patterns and all that. It's very, very different, if you're just looking at these. So for AI, for founders and teams building the application or enterprise price grade level AI, it's really, really important to have the domain expertise so that AI and actually understands what to do next, and then what's the best action, and then also be able to, give that information to the end users or even to AI, another AI agents themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I appreciate that explanation because I think, in talking about that domain expertise, you'd have to talk to a lot of customers to try to get to that depth. And I think that is, yeah, I definitely narrow AI, vertical AI, whatever you want to call it. I think tiny language models, I think we've heard of different variations of what this is called. I actually think that that's going to be one of the biggest trends moving forward to me is seeing companies that are actually smaller but far more integral and just being a very narrow agentic service that other agents use and leverage. And I think that, they're going to print cash, but I guess when you are thinking about the process and obviously in the era of going towards agentic and you guys handle a specific part of the process, what is your plan then in terms of being that agentic service that becomes like the go-to to deal with pricing engines in the B2B space?
Yeah, so that comes to essentially what we do, and also what our vision is on AI. So essentially, today there are so many different agentic AI that help you do summarization, to do risk analysis, to do, customer service, right? Basically, customer service bot would understand the knowledge base and then try to understand what your past tickets history, and then give you the solution, right? So, and those are the really good outcomes. What new stands out is that in our space, we can our AI can definitely help you do summarization. For example, summarize a quote, understand the risks, understand the discounting challenges, or summarize this customer to see, hey, is this customer about have a churn risk, or should I do upsell to this customer, do white space analysis, what other products I can sell to this customer. We can do all that. But what we can do, which is really, really unique, what I call a transaction level intelligence. So essentially what it does is that not only AI is able to identify that, but if you like, AI would actually do that for you. So essentially AI will be able to create a quote that help you renew, help you co-terming, help you adjust prices if you see there's a, you know, um, for example, a churn risk, or help you upsell to a different product, right? And then AI can do that in seconds, right? And then you'll be able to open up the code and then do fine tuning. And AI can help you do approvals, submit for approvals, understanding like what's the next action, and then do it, right? So we currently do that in the direct sales channel, and soon will be deployed to other channels as well once we inject AI with the right context, because self-service and direct sales motion, even though there's same creating quotes, create orders, but also they have different contexts. So we need to be able to enable AI with those contexts. So I see that as next generation AI in the RevOps space, in our space. It's not just tell you what you can do, but actually do it for you. And then a lot of people were asking, are you sure AI can do this, right? Because AI can still hallucinate. We're like, are you sure AI is going to, calculate the right prices for me, or, do the right thing? Like, for example, when I tell it to renew for a year while doing adjust prices, why do I trust the outcome of AI in this transaction? And that's our secret sauce. So essentially what we do is we inject our years of expertise in this space into AI, so that AI not only doesn't hallucinate, it's going to give you the right outcome based on our years of experience, and then so that you can trust the quote it created or the orders they generate. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it when product comes to market and is got a very specific focus, obviously big market, and led by someone who has that domain expertise. I think it's a great combination to see in the marketplace. Tina, I appreciate the time. If somebody wants to learn more, maybe ask you a follow-up question, what's a good way of connecting?
Yeah, I think I can be connected on LinkedIn, and then my LinkedIn is just very easy. LinkedIn/in/ Tina Kong. So it's very easy to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And yeah, we also have a great website, Nue.ai, where you can sign up for webinars, and I will be presenting some of the webinars in the near future. Yeah, there's many ways of connecting to me.
Absolutely. Definitely appreciate your time today,
Thank
Tina.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Absolutely. All right, that's it for the episode. Be back again, different guest, different topic. Until then, two things. One, I love it if you could share this episode with others that could benefit from it. We talked about, obviously, the B2B pricing models that currently are very laborious, take time, and actually kind of impose some stumbling blocks on moving quickly within the space. And Tina talked and walked us through how you can actually build that flexible pricing engine, how you can actually accelerate the revenue side of things on those deals. And with AI and the growth in AI, you got to support that AI component. And she talked to us a little bit about that. So I thought it was a great episode. And, from perspective of understanding that B2B space and her background, obviously it was a great conversation. So please share this episode. Also, like, subscribe, comment. Let me know how the show is going for you. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.